Hi, this is Kathy from Easy Sunday Club, and today I'm doing a solo video on the 10 things I learned from selling greeting cards. I want to provide super practical tips that you can take away with at the end of the video and act on right away. These might be things that you can only get from paid courses, but I feel compelled to help creatives out there who may be struggling at the beginning stage of their greeting card design business. And yeah, let's get right into it. We have a lot to talk about, so I'm not going to drag it out with a long intro. So the first tip is birthday cards sell the most. When I read online, I found out that about half of all greeting cards are birthday cards, and that makes sense, right? Because all your friends and family have birthdays. Sure, we have anniversaries, weddings, and all that, but each person only has one, most likely, and you don't give anniversary cards to everybody. So when I did a quick calculation of my cards, about 40% of my cards were birthday cards. And that's probably because a couple of my non-birthday cards are super popular designs, and I've had them since the beginning, and they've just been selling really great at stores. The second tip is, for your first design, if you're just starting out, for first design, go with what you're inspired by. If you're a feminist, go with an idea or just stand by with conviction. If you're a new mom, maybe make the card that you wish you got. But slowly build a collection. I want to say you want to build a collection of at least a dozen if you want to take this more seriously and sell it to stores and online. Because if someone just goes on your Etsy shop or website and they see 3 to 4 cards, you're not building that trust, and they won't take you very seriously. They think you just throw something again over the fence and see what happens, which is sort of the game we're playing here, but we also want to look like we're professionals. So yeah, start with what you're inspired by. Don't feel pressure to make a dozen birthday card designs right away. If you are really drawn to another idea, just go for that. And for the collection of 12 that I'm suggesting, again, the number is just it's somewhat of subjective number, but I say 12 is a fair number to put on an online shop. So out of the 12, I would recommend 5 birthday cards, 2 wedding or anniversary cards, 4 cards split between thank you, friendship cards, and new baby card, and 1 holiday card. And you can tweak the numbers, depends on how you see fit, and maybe you're already known for a certain design, or you're already selling or thinking about targeting a certain age range or a certain demographic. This is kind of like a generic breakdown of what I think a starting line should be for greeting cards, and that's even as I built out my collections, proportionally they're kind of about the same. I'm always going to try to develop new birthday cards, and since my other products focus on baby and new moms, I also tend to make more Mother's Day newborn cards. One of the first cards I made, which is a newborn card, it was actually repurposed from a print, and these are just a few birthday cards that I sell that sell really well. I have about 6 or 7 birthday cards now. Except I don't have a huge birthday card collection, and this is not the main part of my business, but I say start with 12. The third tip is don't overcomplicate your design and stay consistent. Not saying that you need to stay consistent with your copy. Like, you can be humorous in one, serious, emotional in the other, sassy and sarcastic in another. I think that's fine to mix it up if you have, if you like to express in different ways, but your design should be similar. Like, if you're going to include some kind of illustration on your card, like all of mine are of my own watercolor design, right? So if you're also an illustrator, you just want to have the same very consistent style. And by not complicating design, what I mean is kind of the materials you're using. Don't get too fancy with envelopes. I used to buy envelopes from for my greeting cards from a wedding stationery site, or even try to buy them from Paper Source, which is a big no-no. Like, you can't make any money from it, which, if you're watching this video, is what you're trying to do. If you go to my other videos about, I'll link it in the description, about how to make greeting cards and package greeting cards. I have linked the paper and envelope and packaging materials that I use for my greeting cards. So take the guesswork out of you, and if you want to just copy exactly what I use for the raw materials, I don't mind at all. And when you pick a paper, just stick with it. And just keep it simple. The fourth tip is know your cost and price your cards fairly. So you may want to start making your own cards at home, or you want to outsource it to a printer right away. I have always done the DIY option, and by saying DIY, I don't mean it looks like you made it for your grandma when you're 12 years old or anything. It's still professionally packaged with correct labels in the back, so it looks like a card that you would buy at a store. If you have a printer that prints color at home right now, most likely it could work for printing cards, right? You don't need anything large format or super high quality to print greeting cards, as long as it can print a thicker paper stock, which a lot of the inkjet printers can do. So if you can do that, you will save a ton of trial and error and upfront costs by having to outsource to a printer. 'Cause with printers, you can print them at lower volume, but the lower volume is going to cost more per card, and you still have to assemble them yourself anyway. By printing it yourself, you can you can do your own product photography once you have a single card printed out. You can upload it online and test it out, and if it depends on how popular certain designs are, you can you can just print everything on demand. That's so much better, especially if you're just starting out. I'm not talking about like building a card empire right off the bat, and these strategies can always change down the road. The next tip, number 5, is once you have your collection, offer bundles. Offer bundles for your cards. Offer people the option to mix and match if they like. If you're selling at craft fairs or to wholesale or online, just give people the option to mix and match, because people can buy a single card from you, they're paying postage for a single card, right? And then you have to pay, anywhere between $1 to $2 to sell a single card. Most likely, and this is from my experience too, people want to add multiple cards from you for different occasions. And this is why having multiple birthday cards are great too, because you can sell a birthday card bundle of 5 and offer a small discount when they bundle. And you don't have to bundle by occasion too. You can bundle by all of your cards. If you only have 12 to start, you can have people pick any 5 they want. And that's something they don't have the option of doing when they're at Rite Aid, a drugstore, or Hallmark. Maybe sometimes they have these sales, but when you have a smaller collection, I think it takes the analysis paralysis out of people, and it's easier for them to choose these cards that they want. And people often stock up on cards for the next few months, or when they foresee any needs in the future. So it's very likely for people to buy multiple cards. Number 6, instead of going straight to wholesale, because that might seem intimidating to you right now, it was to me for a long time, start local and sell them to local gift shops, coffee shops, floral shops, bookstores. These are things that are overlooked by new designers. And I know it's still intimidating. If you're an extrovert, that might be no big deal to you, but as an introvert, I know doing sales is super scary, especially if you're going in someone's store. I can talk about this in a whole other video, but selling local and starting there has really helped me tremendously with establishing my brand in the first couple of years. And even now when we just moved to a new city, just trying to connect with local community and businesses is super valuable. As I'm making this video, we're in the middle of a lockdown, a quarantine during the coronavirus pandemic, so a lot of those shops are closed, but that doesn't mean you can't work on the other things now. Just establish, build your collection, jot down all the ideas, and file this tip for later because eventually businesses will reopen. Number 7, A2 is, in my experience, the easiest size to do DIY in your home studio. The reason why is A2 cards, when it's bifold, is exactly half of a letter size paper. So if you take a letter size paper and you cut it in half and bifold it, it is exactly the size of a card. You waste no paper. It makes it a lot easier to cut and score. And it's also a standard size for a greeting card. So you're not cheating the system or anything. This is the single size I've stuck with. A couple times stores have asked me if I offer bigger sizes. I just know operationally it's going to create more headache for me. And like I said, since this is not a dominant part, a majority part of my business, I want to just keep it simple and make it scalable. Next is number 8. Start selling on Etsy if you don't want to invest in your own website, with the plan to eventually sell on your website. Now, you can watch my other videos about Etsy and why I decided to build my own website instead in the very beginning of my business. But I think Etsy is still the best option right now. It's the lowest cost and the easiest to start for you if you, again, don't want to pay hosting service for your own website. I know there are other marketplaces out there. Amazon's obviously the big one that everyone knows, and they have a ton of greeting cards, but I find that they're saturated with low-cost greeting cards that you just can't survive off of as a maker business. They're selling $12 for a pack of 6 that were made overseas by a factory. And a lot of times, there are copyright issues. If you're worried about your design being copied, try to avoid Amazon in the beginning, and just most importantly, protect your costs and to stay competitive and carve out a niche for yourself. And number 9, research trends, but don't copy other card designers. Please, like I said with the Amazon thing, just don't copy other designers. You can take inspirations, and when I say do research, I'm doing animals, so I can get an idea of what animals are popular right now. Now, sea otters are really popular, and that's from learning from going to art fairs, talking to customers, and selling art prints, right? It's not from just copying a famous greeting designer who paints sea otters. Just take it with a grain of salt. When I say research, just be aware of what's out there. I go to really successful greeting card designers I should say stationery designers like Emily McDowell, Rifle Paper, maybe even Hallmark or your local Trader Joe's. They sell a lot of handmade cards from smaller designers, but please don't copy. You may think that people are getting away with copying for a while. You might have caught some people imitating other artist styles, but those don't last long because the originals, the ones making original designs, were always a few steps ahead of them, and copying is just not a way to build your own brand. Number 10, sell your cards at local fairs. Again, at the time this video is made and is released, you probably can't go to any fairs due to the pandemic, but like I said, they will come back and people will go to those fairs. If you're just selling cards, don't expect to make a huge profit from them. just because cards are lower priced items and you would have to sell a lot of volume to make up the booth fee and all the cost that goes into making these into vending at these fairs. So don't expect that to be your lifeline of building your card business. Just use that as a way to do market research to find out what resonates with people. That's really the easiest way to do it. And compared to cold pitching or cards to a store or doing wholesale shows, it's a lot less daunting. So that's what I recommend once fairs come back. And in order to get into fairs, you want to build a collection. So again, like reiterating number 2, you want to have a professional enough look as a first-time vendor, because a lot of times they will accept people or businesses that have been doing this for a while, but everybody has to do it. All of these businesses have done it for the first time, and I have been rejected and then accepted to a fair for the first time. So, and don't be discouraged by it. I'm going to give you one last tip, and it's kind of a bonus tip. It's not something that is practical and actionable right away, but just something to be mindful of. And that is, you will most likely need to create and sell other products if you want to build a business out of this. Cards alone is likely not a sustainable business by itself. It's fine if you're just making it for fun, if you want to just sell to family and friends. The reason why I say that is I can speak from my own experience. I started making art prints, and art prints are still a higher margin item for me. Cards drive in volume, but no, you're still looking at $5 cards, so the profit margin is just not there. And if you go on any card designers, almost all of them sell other items. They are stationery brands rather than card brands. And Hallmark sells cards that are made by freelance illustrators and other designers and artists that they license from. So I don't count them as an individual card brand. They're more of a retailer for greeting cards. But again, don't let that discourage you. And the only reason why I'm saying this is I don't want you to take these designs and try to make Post-it notes and note cards and calendars and magnets right away, because I want you to just be patient and test out designs. Be prolific with making new designs, but always test them out. And then you can take the ones that are successful and make them into other products that make sense. I say this card, for example, is one of my popular cards originally for Valentine's Day, but it ended up being a all occasion anytime card for the cranky fish in your life. My original print is a 9 pufferfish art print. I just repurposed it into a card, not knowing that it was going to be a popular card. So just test and don't invest yourself into building new products, because they just take time away from you, from focusing on what works. I hope that was helpful. Leave a comment if you have other questions. Follow me on Instagram. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I made this video because my greeting card videos are gaining a lot of views, so I just want to help those that may find this helpful. So thanks for watching.